Bristol. Cabot Circus.
Liberal.
It's very artistic.
Bristol Unis.
Cool, graffiti, vibrant.
The Bristol Museum.
Hippie. I love Bristol.
I think that's it for Bristol.
USA. I love New York.
Obesity, I'd say fat for a stereotype.
That. Warmongering.
Police brutality.
Imperialistic.
Trump.
That's all I've got for America. Yeah.
Nigeria. Poverty.
Lack of sanitation.
Clean water.
Famine and corruption.
Very poor people.
And sadness.
Oil money.
Must be a bit scary there. I think there's a lot of corruption.
Kind of corrupt, a bit dangerous maybe.
Nigeria is a melting pot of numerous tribes with a population of nearly 200 million people with different traditions and languages. There are 36 states, of which I was born in Warri, Delta State, but by the age of 13 my family migrated to the UK. This will be my first return in over a decade. For someone who has never been here, or in my case lived away for so long, it's possible to lose track of what it's really like here. It's too easy for one's impressions to be clouded by opinions and stereotypes fed through the media. Away from Nigeria, I got to grow up much more aware of the negativity surrounding it, to the point where not only did I have little interest in coming back, but I also felt I had every reason to look down on the people of Nigeria as less privileged or uncivilized. I saw duplex shopping centers with the latest technologies, their own version of Tesco, Currys, IKEA, and even on a trip to the cinema, I was told they had 9D. I have no idea how that works, but we've only got up to 4D in the UK. Nigeria is such an unbelievably blessed country, whether you want to talk about the natural resources, food, tradition, or the climate, where it's literally either raining or the sun is shining. It's a passionate country where football is the sole food. Religion is a massive part of the country's identity, with Islam and Christianity being the major split. You'd rarely come across someone who is an atheist. I became intrigued by the general perception of not just Nigeria, but Africa as a whole. A lot of what I've just described can be easily applied to any other country in this vast continent. Nigeria might be less developed, but I saw more wealth than I could have ever imagined. So there's definitely an element of imbalance in its representation in the UK. People need to realize that there's more to Africa than famine, corruption, and poverty. How much of your perception is painted by the media, and what do you actually know is true about countries like Nigeria?
I am an African man.
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 But do you know who we are?
I do know a few Nigerian people and they're really nice people.
No, Nigeria and Afghanistan, possibly the two most corrupt countries in the world.
Do you speak African? Well, neither do the 1.1 billion people in Africa.
There's no reason the nation of Africa cannot and should not join the ranks of the world's most prosperous nations.
It's not actually a country. It's a continent of 54 very different nations and more than 2,000 languages. But it's constantly misunderstood or misrepresented.
If you've only seen us in Hollywood movies, this is what you might think of us.
Machine guns.
We shoot our machine guns from trucks. We shoot our machine guns from boats. When we run out of bullets, we shoot rocket launchers.
We are obsessed with violence.
We hate smiling. Smiling is stupid.
We are fantastic role models.
Any mention these days of what was once called the Dark Continent conjures up lazy images of war, famine, corruption, or disease.
My name's Danvid Pandal and I'm from Kenya and I've been in the UK since July 2014. When I first came here, I expected like most people to actually know what a country from Africa could be like. One of the guys came up to me later and was like, "Are you sure you're from Kenya? That must be a good joke, man." I was like, "No, I am. I've been there for 17 years of my life."
My name is Chief Kingsley Kalazoma. The name of the firm is Chaos Enterprises Nigeria Limited. We are mainly specialized in arts, general arts.
I said I was from Kenya. And one thing I know is that everyone started laughing like, how can it be?
About 15 years now, we've run this business. And with the little support from our customer and some of the firms we work with, we've grown to this extent.
Guess where 4 of the 10 fastest growing economies in the world are located? Not in Europe. Yep, they're in Africa.
You got the extreme values of people thinking, oh, you have to walk 4 or 5 miles downstream to get water and stuff. Or I have, Simba, the lion, back roaming around in my garden or something. Or, just wild animals anywhere. Or in terms of poverty, extreme poverty, where it's all over Kenya, but that's not true.
After you are studying, you must have something doing which can be able to make ends meet for you at the end of the day. So the poverty level here in Nigeria is not as the way it's being portrayed over there. Not really. At least the standard of living here in Nigeria is quite okay.
It's true to a certain extent. There are areas in Kenya where you do have these poverty lines, but it's not everywhere, which is what some people perceive from the media, of course.
It's really a rich source of livelihood for a lot of people. Those are fishermen. You see them, they are fishing in there. There is another local boat here. And this has been going on for centuries. They get the fish from here and they sell to the traders under the Falamo Bridge. It's a kind of a local fish market. And people buy from there. By my own judgment, the fishes, they are healthy. And the lagoon is rich in nutrients. Kind of they derive their food from there, the fishes. So every now and then we have supply of fish from the ocean into the lagoon. And some fishes actually live in the lagoon, replenish in there and all that. So it's an endless supply of aquatic life here.
But let's not forget that 1 in 3 Africans is middle class, and the continent is one of the fastest growing markets in the world for mobile phones.
I live under a roof in our house. I have clean water. I watch television. We have technology back there. We have the infrastructure. We all, cars, roads, bridges, the train line back there. We have trains back there. People think we don't actually have that. People think we live on mud roads. People think we live in mud huts.
Guess which one of these 2 places is in Africa? Wrong. Who has time to mention the 22 Nobel laureates from 9 different African countries, right?
It is quite surprising how what type of knowledge and information that people do have of Kenya. Well, not just Kenya, any third world country, as people say.
How about the plight of poor African women? Well, the continent has had 7 female presidents. The United States, still waiting, I'm afraid. Meanwhile, Rwanda has the highest proportion of female parliamentarians in the world, 64%. Over in the UK Parliament, it's a record 29%. But you know what? It's important that we focus only on the doom and gloom across the continent, because every 60 seconds in Africa, a minute passes by.